Hey guys, this is Daniel with PwnCNC, and I am here to PwnCNC. I'm here to put together or assemble my version 4 dust boot. This is the first dust boot that I have coming in from the front, which is the traditional method for dust boots. I designed this so that I could have something that I can have options with, right? So my rear loading dust boot comes in from the rear, and here, let me grab one of them here. It comes in from the rear, and the hose also comes out from the rear, or in from the rear, which means your gantry, whenever it's sitting there, will require some distance between the bottom of your gantry and your stock material. So whenever you're cutting really thick stock, you need something that can give you that extra space. Well, the front loading dust boot was my answer. So you can raise your support arms up higher, slide in the front dust boot, and then you've got you can have cut thicker material, which that way the hose isn't taking up the rear. Yeah, so let's get on with our assembly here. So in your dust boot kit, you're gonna have your main body of your dust boot. It's gonna have various heat inserts, which is where we're going to attach and work on in a minute. First thing you're going to notice, we're going to have a really long brush. I think this is about 13 or so inches. That's going to go right into this track area. It is a press fit, unlike my previous models, which are slide in. This is pretty much really hard to slide in. So I've increased the gap here, made it where you can press it in. We've got a larger acrylic part, which goes almost full circle, with a little spot here so you can slide the boot in between a small 1/4-inch bit or something like that, or even the shaft of a larger surfacing bit or something like that. You're going to have several button head screws, hex wrench. You're going to have a couple of wing parts which will fit right here, as well as some socket head screws to attach those, and a hex wrench for those. So we're going to take our boot first and our brush. Now, we're going to put the brush in first. That is important because when we go to put the acrylic on, you'll notice there's quite a bit of overhang around it, and that is to capture the brush and prevent it from slipping out on you. And again, it's because this is press fit now instead of slide in, so I had to open up some gaps, and the acrylic kind of compensates for that. So I'm going to take my brush, and there is a right way and a wrong way to twist this. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to twist it, and if it's constantly wanting to bow out on me, I'm going to start twisting it the other way. So I'm going to grab it, twist it, and what I want is that brush to sit, whenever I've got it curved, to sit kind of up and down there. I don't want it having any dramatic bowing on me. So I'm going to just kind of gently twist that around. I'm just going to get that around there. Then I'm going to take one side, brush in one hand, the boot in the other, and I'm going to slide that right down into position, making that corner piece flush. So I'm going to kind of press fit that all the way around. Now some parts are a little harder to do than others, and I should have gotten my needle nose pliers. Just keep going around. If you can't get a part of it in properly, just keep going around so that it fits around. Get most of it so you can get well past that. So both sides is kind of pressed in. Let me grab my needle nose pliers. There we go. So the nice thing is these brushes are very forgiving, so you can actually come in here like this and press fit and just kind of work it in. There it goes. Just kind of work around as it go in until it finally snaps, and then you can use your fingers to kind of push it in. Now you can heal your brush by coming in and just kind of wiggling it here, letting it come around, and making sure that's kind of well seated. And you can see based on how it's sitting in there whether it's going to work or not. So once we got that problem solved, let's just keep going around and try to make sure your brush is still kind of perpendicular to the surface of the track. As you work that around, and of course, the same catchy area is there on that other side too. And again, just work past it till you get the other side of the brush pushed into the track. Then you can come in with your needle nose pliers and just kind of pinch. And again, work your way around because you don't want to do it all at once and you don't want to damage anything. So, and you may even need to come in from the other side of the hump area, or even on the back side like this. Now be gentle because you don't want to do too much damage on this other side. Excuse me. There we go. Get down in there. Just keep working it around. You'll get it. Come on. There it goes. It snaps into place. Now before I do too much, I'm going to come in and just kind of heal my brush a little bit. Don't worry about the pieces that are falling off. There are tons of bristles here that you can work with. And I'm going to do a little bit more work in here. There it goes. There. Now it is fully seated. And I can do some good healing now. It's not perfect, but if you're too bad on it, I do sell additional brushes separately in the same length that you initially received them. So if you damage your brush or just want to replace it because it's gotten too dirty, you've used your boot too much, then I've got that available. So I've got the brush in mostly, that last 2 or 3, or I guess that'd be about 5 or 10 millimeters there on the end. We're going to take our knife here, and just like on my other boots, and you can see those videos, I'm going to set the brush right there against the flat piece. I'm going to slide it in between the bristles, and I'm going to rock it back and forth. Keep my fingers out of the way. Rock it back and forth. This is a sharp razor blade, so I do want to be careful here. And I might even need to put it up against something so that my plastic isn't wiggling around. So there we go. So it's not important that it's perfectly flush, but it is nicer to look at. So I've made that flush right there against the edge. Now I'm going to press the brush in the rest of the way and tap it like this. That'll help push the brush, seat the brush down into the track. And now I can come in and cut that other side flush. Now it's not absolutely required, but it is significantly easier whenever you've got a little gap here to slide the bit in there. So I'm going to take my brush just like before, turn it upside down, set it right there against the edge, work the knife through the blade through the bristles to the other side so that it's nice and flush on either side. And then I'm going to rock it back and forth. There. Now you won't need those other pieces. These are just significantly too small for me to do anything with. But if you got one of my other boots, I'm going to try to do something with those couple inch pieces there. So, got my brush fully seated, and we are 1/3 of the way through. So, next step is the acrylic. So I'm going to take the acrylic and gently slip it in between the bristles. Make sure there's no bristles sticking up and through the edge there. So I don't want to pinch any of the bristles. There it goes. So I'm going to set that in there. Kind of hold it gently over the holes. I'm going to take my button screws, drop those down into place. Now these ones against the bristles are going to be a little harder, so I'm going to put it right into the hex wrench and just drop it down in there. And go ahead and tighten the screw so it's flush. Don't actually tighten it. We might want to make a little adjustments. We're going to take a look here in a minute. Just make sure it's flush. You could use Loctite on those. I know that's a pretty common problem. I tried to make sure these are 10 millimeters long, so these should be really long screws. So hopefully it won't come out on you. You know, you don't want screws popping out in the middle of your, dropping onto your surface or onto your stock while you're working on it. But you can use some Loctite. It should be bumping into plastic on the other side, right there at the tip. So that could help keep it locked into position. But Loctite doesn't hurt. Probably use the blue stuff. You will want to, you may want to replace the acrylic, which I do have those. I do sell replacement acrylic on the website too. Plus, of course, the files are on Thingiverse. So if you wanted to make all of this yourself, you definitely could. I love supporting makers. That's the primary thing. That's the primary thing for me. So I've got all 3 of my screws tightened up. I've got my boot in place. My boot's all assembled, except for the last step, and that is my wings. So let me get some stuff out of the way here. There we go. So I'm going to take my wings. The wings are designed in such a way so they have, whenever they sit on here, they can slide forward or backwards a couple of millimeters, 4 to 5 millimeters, maybe a ½ inch or so that in case the bit doesn't sit perfectly in the center of this acrylic, you can adjust the boot so that it does by that small amount. Anything larger, we're going to want to look at something else. But I try to design all of my boots so that the wing part is flush with an edge. And in this case, it's this front edge of the boot. Make sure that's flush. Just hold it there. Drop a screw into place. Grab the larger hex wrench and tighten that down. There it goes. Now, once I got it flush and I've got it held in there, I can take the shorter end and kind of go a ½ or a quarter turn to make sure it's nice and tight. This is plastic. We don't want to pull out the heat insert that's holding that in place, but it is a large head insert so that it should be pushing against here and shouldn't come out. But yeah, it is a heat insert, so if you apply too much heat to this thing, it is PLA plastic, so it can definitely deform with enough heat. Keep it out of the sunlight. For probably 99.9% of you, your machine is probably not sitting in the heat, in the direct sunlight, so this sort of accessory is kind of perfect for it. So I'm going to drop my other 2 screws in here. Turn it to the short side, turn it about a ½ or a quarter turn. And I am done. I have got a version 4 of my dust boot, my front loading version, all assembled and ready to go. So I am going to finish building the rest of my boots, and you're going to jump on to either putting your bracketing system together or starting your first cut. Always remember, don't just own your CNC, dominate it.